The president loves young people, and he wants to see young people succeed. I think that's part of the reason he had I have the honor of serving as his press secretary, and he gave me this job. He's spoken publicly about it, how many people told him that I was too young to have this position, and he told me, you're not. When I was 21, I was building buildings in Manhattan, and I believe you can have this job. So the president believes in the young people of this country, the future generations, the next generation of leaders, and he wants to leave the country better off for us and for our children and our grandchildren.
Thank you so much for tuning into the Signal Sitdown, but before we get to the interview, we'd love it if you'd hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you may be joining us. And please remember to give us a 5-star review because we love your feedback. Remember, it's your government, and together we'll expose how it really works and how to affect real change. Without further ado, here's the interview. Karoline Leavitt, welcome to the Signal Sitdown.
Thank you. It's good to be with you.
Of course, and thank you for having us in
this
the
beautiful room.
That's right, it's gorgeous.
Yes.
We talk shop a lot in the briefing room, but we had this opportunity to talk to you, and I wanted to talk to you about your life story. You are the youngest person to serve as White House press secretary.
Yes.
Growing up, did you know that this was going to be a goal of yours? Did you know that you were going to be political in this way?
I don't think anyone could anticipate having this job. Certainly one may hope for it, but you never really know if it will happen. But I always was enthralled with the media and news growing up. Always thought I wanted to be a reporter actually on your side of the table in covering the news. And then I was enthralled with politics when I got to college and just took advantage of a bunch of opportunities. But being Gen Z, 2016 was the first election I was actually eligible to vote in. And I cast my ballot in the New Hampshire primary for Donald Trump. And ever since, I've found myself working for him in various different capacities and then served as the spokeswoman on this most historic campaign in 2023 through 2024. And here we are. It's been a miraculous journey, and I'm just very grateful for the opportunity.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with the president. We see him obviously in front of the cameras, but the first time that you met President Donald Trump, when was that? What was that like?
Oh gosh. Actually, ironically, I asked the president a question when I was a student at St. Anselm College way back in 2016. And there was an event with, I think, NBC News on my college campus at the time. And I was one of the students chosen to ask him a question, which is very ironic when you think about how it's come full circle. Now I'm taking questions for him. But the first formal meeting, I honestly don't remember when it took place. Probably when I was a candidate for Congress, when I ran in that campaign. Or I'm sorry, I worked in his White House in the first term, so I was around him. But when I ran for Congress, and then after working on his super PAC, and then of course our relationship grew closer, working for him directly on the campaign, and now here at the White House. And he's a great boss. He is a great person. He really cares about his staff. He's very uplifting, and he's a lot of fun to work for.
Yeah, and he seems like such a relationships-oriented person, a
Yes.
relationships-oriented leader.
For sure.
We see that, I think, on display every day in this administration. Yeah. Take us behind the scenes, your conversations with the president.
Sure.
What's the nature of those conversations?
Yeah.
Is he always asking about you and your family? I mean, what type of questions does he ask of you?
Yeah, no, he is a great conversationalist, first of all, a great storyteller. I've had many dinners sitting with him and just listening to his life stories.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but what is his favorite story to tell?
Oh man, there's so many. There's so many great stories that he has. I mean, he's lived a miraculous life. And every once in a while, I'm reminded, especially when we are traveling and we're at Trump Tower or some of his amazing properties, that, this was Donald Trump before he was President Trump. So what a great figure, an icon to work for. But he's just great, and he's super uplifting and funny. He's hilarious, literally one of the funniest people I've ever met. And we're having a lot of fun.
That's great. And it's I remember when kind of this, I was always a Trump supporter, but when the scales kind of fell off from my eyes was realizing how badly the last generation of politicians had gone about just squandering our American inheritance with forever wars in the Middle East and such. That was the big one for me, the disasters in Iraq and Afghanistan prior to his first administration. Do you ever have a moment where did you have a moment where you realized that you were MAGA? Because I feel like that's a conversion moment almost.
No, it is. So I actually wrote an editorial in the school newspaper when I was in college, and the title of it was "Why Donald Trump Just Keeps on Winning." And this was when he was in that 15 or 17 person primary. A lot of people were doubting him at the time, but I believe particularly his economic message really resonated with me. I grew up in a middle-class, blue-collar family, small business owners. My parents, neither of them went to college, and so I watched them work very hard for everything that they earned for my brothers and me. And growing up in that environment informed, I think, my perspective of the world, and hearing the president really speak for the forgotten man and woman, right? The American worker, which continues to be his message to this very day, really resonated with me and my family. And I wrote about it back then. And so I think from the very beginning, I realized that this was an outsider, not a politician, a businessman, like the people I grew up with, who see the world in a very common sense way. And that's how I knew I was a supporter of President Trump.
How you knew you were MAGA.
I was MAGA, yes. Ultra MAGA, as many say.
Ultra MAGA. Sometimes dark MAGA, depending on the day, if you get enough sleep. Small business owner family, my family, small business owners, they are conservative and they are MAGA people. They remember the days of Ronald Reagan, though. And you and I kind of sit on the older side of Gen Z, right between, they call us Zillennials sometimes. You're working for someone who's going to be remembered as our generation's Ronald Reagan. What type of pressure does that add to the job? I mean, is it you sit there and you think to yourself, wow, I mean, we have a really amazing opportunity to cement this coalition that the president, by sheer force of will and determination, has formed over these past 8 years?
It is a truly historic time in our nation's history and in the world's history. The president is making decisions that impact people's lives every day. He is solving two major global conflicts that broke out under the previous administration. He is implementing massive economic policy through tariffs, which are going to be, as the president has said, a liberation for our country. We are no longer going to be sold out to globalist interests around the world. Jobs are going to come back home. He's doing so many historic things. It's just an honor to be a part of it. And sometimes we move so fast around here. We move at Trump speed. We work so hard. We're constantly working and grinding and moving to the next thing, especially on the communications team because the news cycle changes so frequently. But every once in a while, we do try as a team to smell the roses, if you will, literally and figuratively in the rose garden, to just remember the moment that we're in. And I'm very confident. I know that when these 4 years are over, the world and the country will be a much better place because of President Trump.
Yeah, you might not like this joke, but I've been telling people I miss Joe Biden because that means I didn't have to work past 3 p.m. But with you guys, we are around the clock.
That's right.
My last question for you. The president has made massive inroads, not only with the working class, that gets a lot of attention in it, and as it should.
Yeah.
But massive inroads with young people, with Gen Z, this communication strategy, reaching Gen Z voters. I mean, to lead that, what has been your successes there? What has been the challenges to really tap into this young voter base who, from an early age, is brainwashed with liberal propaganda?
Well, first of all, the president loves young people, and he wants to see young people succeed. I think that's part of the reason he had I have the honor of serving as his press secretary, and he gave me this job. He has spoken publicly about it, how many people told him that I was too young to have this position, and he told me, you're not. When I was 21, I was building buildings in Manhattan, and I believe you can have this job. So the president believes in the young people of this country, the future generations, the next generation of leaders, and he wants to leave the country better off for us and for our children and our grandchildren. And you have to love what you do and who you're working for in order to really be good at it. And that's why the president is implementing policies that are going to help young people for generations to come.
Karoline Leavitt, it's been a pleasure.
You too.
Thank you for coming on the Signal Sitdown.
I appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you so much for tuning into the Signal Sitdown. Before you go, be sure to hit like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you may be joining us. And please remember to give us a 5-star review. We not only love your feedback, but it really does help the show. Remember, it's your government, and together we'll expose how it really works. See you next time.